throwing shit. We are so sick of time. Cops killing us every day, and we don't say nothing about it. Now is our time to rise.
Discovering and embracing their power.
And I don't understand at all how this could have helped any movement.
We are coming back on the air with new details on the tragic death of NBA legend Kobe Bryant.
We report again tonight on the fatal shooting of Ahmaud Arbery.
Black Lives Matter.
Breonna Taylor.
7.1 magnitude quake south of Mexico City.
In Australia, dozens of massive wildfires that killed more than 24 people.
To India now, where the government has invited farm union leaders to talks as thousands of farmers continue to block roads into the capital, Delhi.
Our crops annihilated, our families' lives are shaken, our sacred land is taken by those who've learned to fake it. Leave us with toxic waste, tell us it's our mistake. Red line where I can stay, who gets to live today? And as the people weep, bring prayers at your feet, as you pretend to sleep, the universe still speaks with fire, winds and waves. I've come to translate that love will conquer hate, distance of this mistake. What if we love? What if we love? What if we love? What if we love?
Today, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic.
This is the 10th hospital that I have been in, and to see the way that these families have to live after this.
Confirming historic levels of job losses last month.
Got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop.
I hear wishing and waiting, crying out from the seas, wondering when lack is a fathomless dream. Where do we go when it's hard to perceive where there's more than enough for me, more than enough for me? It is done. It will be and do it is done. It will be it is done. It will be and do above it all.
For it is the poesía libre that frees the heart and mind and tongue to shine, no matter what our financial circumstances are. We cherish those who hold one another close and remember. We celebrate the poets and educators and community organizers who cultivate minds to plant the seeds of persistence. We band together with essential workers and fight to survive this moment and infuse this movement with love in order to turn the tide together.
I hear wishing and wailing, crying out from the sea. Wishing and wailing, crying out from the sea. Wishing and wailing, wishing and wailing, wishing and wailing, crying out from the sea. But we can change the story. It's written in our glory. We can change the story. It's written in our glory. We can change the story now. It's in all our glory. We can change the story. It's written in all our glory. Halle, halle, halle. Halle, halle, halle. Halle, hallelujah. Halle, hallelujah. Halle, hallelujah. Halle, hallelujah. Halle, hallelujah. Halle, hallelujah. Oh, we can change the story. It's written in all our glory now. Amen. Thank you, Sundance 2021, for having us.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Angélica, for that powerful performance. I don't know about you all. I do see the chat, so I do know about you all. I watched that and I kind of feel like we're going to be okay. So thank you. My name is Carrie Lozano, and I'm the director of Sundance's documentary film program. We chose to close today's program with a performance that powerfully captures the times we're living in, while conveying the power of art and storytelling. I am over the moon to introduce Angélica Ekeke, an immersive visual journalist, filmmaker, photographer, composer, and performer. Her work is rooted in social justice and bridges art, journalism, innovation by creating a new form of immersive storytelling, which she calls visual symphonies. I had the pleasure of getting to know Angélica and her work while she was a student at Berkeley's Graduate School of Journalism. So welcome, Angélica.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, I'm good, Carrie. I'm excited.
You look amazing, and I'm so thrilled
Thank
that you're
you.
here. I want to just kind of set the stage a little bit. Can you talk to us about your storytelling approach and kind of how you came up to the idea of the visual symphony?
Yes, of course. So I always consider myself an artist who happened to be a journalist. And I went to journalism school for my undergrad at San Francisco State University. And I would always kind of get picked on by my professors because I would make everything artsy, and they're just like, just take the picture. I study photojournalism, and they're like, Angélica, you want to make everything artsy? And I was like, there has to be something more. Like, there has to be an opportunity for us to just feel beyond just capturing the moment. And so in 2017, after I finished my undergrad, I got the opportunity to perform with a nonprofit called City Hope in the Tenderloin area in San Francisco. And they had like a pop-up style show, and one of my good friends invited me to come. And they wanted me to tell a story of a woman who had just come out of jail and was trying to get back on her feet in society. And I decided that I wanted to try, I wanted to figure out a way to use music as a means of reporting. And so I decided that I was going to try it. And I told them, like, sure, I can do the show. but I'm going to try something new, and I would love for you guys to trust me. And everybody was very nervous, but I decided to do it. And we had our first show at the Great American Music Hall. And I remember, you know, being on stage, and I had the film in back of me, and I had, you know, done normal reporting, and I had used her words and created it into music. And I was like, I'm going to do this at the same time. Everything's going to be in sync. And when I finished singing my last line and I opened my eyes, like, I just had this thing come over me, and I was like, this is the reason why I'm here. Like, obviously there's tons of things to do in life, but I know that this is the reason why I'm here on this earth. And like, I always say, like, when you have that, like, that's the best feeling ever, and life gets so much clearer. And so for me, I was like, I gotta like share this with the world. So from there, I met one of my favorite photographers, Ed Kashi, and the medium didn't have a name at the time. And I remember meeting him and being over the moon because I had studied him as a photojournalist. And so I met him at a party, and I was a little nervous, but I went up to him and I talked to him. And I was like, Ed, I have this new idea. Like, I'm like singing the news. I'm like, you know, and he's like, okay. And he's like, it kind of sounds like a visual symphony. And I was like, that's it. Like, that's the name. And I've been going ever since on this 4-year journey to kind of share it with the world. So, yeah.
I love what you just said, singing the news. My friend, Sundance is the right home for you. Tell us a tiny bit about what community means to you and how you incorporate community into your work.
Sure. So I believe that artists and their work should reflect who they are. And that brings some sense of authenticity to it. So community is a major part in my life. And so the way that I report and the way that I do journalism is very communal. And I think oftentimes what I learned in journalism school, especially as an undergrad, was that we were always these like flies on the wall, and we're just going to tell the story and that's it. And it almost, to me, erased the humanity of being a journalist and a filmmaker, of being like, you know, I'm documenting these things, but I'm also in the moment with these families and in the moment of pain and grief and joy. And I wanted to find a way to restore that back while still being ethical. And so for me, with working with, you know, my subjects in community, I consider them collaborators with my work. And so I think that everything that I produce has a theme of community. And yeah, and I hope that's reflected in everything that I do, because I don't only want to make work just to make it. I want to make it so that it has an impact and on the people whose stories that I have the pleasure of telling. So yeah.
So we're about to watch your performance, Imagine Abundance. Tell us a little bit, without giving too much away, what we're about to see.
Yeah, so Imagine Abundance started about, I would say 2.5 years ago. And I had the opportunity to collaborate with a nonprofit called Catchlight, and they got a grant to work on a community project about reimagining abundance. And it had just been, it was 2018, and the election had just happened, and there was this like really, really kind of eerie feeling in the air. And they brought me on, and I started telling them, hey, I think I have this visual symphony thing, and you know, I think that we should try it. And they were already familiar with me and my work, and so they said, okay, let's do it. And they gave me free range. And you know, with community being a core center of who I am, I decided that why don't we collect photos, collect video, collect voice memos of what people think abundance is in this moment, whether it's, you know, abundance of negativity or abundance of positivity in your life. I said, like, I think it could be great, and then I would create a film out of, you know, everything that someone, you know, everyone submits to me, and it would kind of be like this mosaic and this collage of, you know, reality, of happiness, of joy, of grief, of pain. And it would kind of just be like this symphony. And so we worked on it for 3 months, and I gathered everything that everyone sent to me, and I had them share with me their thoughts at the same time. And I collected everything together, and I created scores based on what they sent me. And that's a little bit what Imagine Abundance is. And specifically for Sundance, we chose to revamp it, and we got even more filmmakers from around the world. And this is kind of us reimagining abundance in 2021 after such a harsh year that 2020 was. So I'm really excited to see it evolve in this way.
Well, thank you so much, Angélica. It's so delightful to see you here. For more of Angélica's work, please find her online. Her link is in the chat, and take a look at her upcoming piece that's in progress, Marin City. So I want to thank all of my Sundance colleagues who hosted this event today, my colleagues in the feature film and documentary programs, as well as Kate Childers, Margaret Badikian, and Jessica Hobbs. And thank you all for joining us today. Congratulations again to the producers with films in this year's festival. We wish you an enjoyable and inspiring festival and hope for a brighter year. We look forward to seeing you in person next year. Happy Sundance 2021.